Hey, I've got my cup of coffee. I want to encourage you to go grab one for yourself and let's take the next few minutes and talk together about ministry matters. This month, I want to focus on the priority of family and ministry. I think you and I would agree, as pastors and church leaders, we want our families to be our first priority. Yet the reality is, we all know how ministry can pull us in so many different directions. So, how do we work that out in our day to day, ordinary lives and keep our families first? Dr. Don Sisk said that we have put our ministry before our families for far too long, and too many have lost both family and ministry. One of the things that my wife Susie and I are most thankful for is that we have five PKs who grew up in the parsonage and pastor's house, and today they still love Jesus. We give thanks to God for that. And so, what I wanted to do is not just talk theoretically about the things that we did as a family, because even though what Susie and I did as parents may have worked, it's still kind of theoretical. And so I went to my kids and I asked them a couple of questions, and I want to focus on one of those today. What did you enjoy about growing up a PK? What did you like? That may be a conversation you might want to have with your kids. Talk with them about what they like about being a PK. I was thankful that the first thing that really rose to the top in all of their conversations with me was that they had a foundation of faith. Growing up a PK built their faith in Jesus. And the reality that we all know is more is caught than is taught. And what they shared is they saw growing up that mom and dad's examples were genuine. What they learned at church was reinforced at home. Don't we wish that more of our families within our churches would have that example caught, that their lifestyle in their homes, what they say and do in their living rooms and in their kitchen, was reinforced by the teaching at church and not the other way around, that they tried to use church to be the primary teacher of faith? God wants us as parents to do that. Our kids shared how that they were always learning. Even in little ways, they were catching the reality that faith was genuine and real and that God always provided. My one daughter commented how she as an adult now can look back, and though as a child she understood that we were making sacrifices, she could see that God was putting the food on the table, that God was meeting needs. And she has a great appreciation, and her faith today is stronger when she has to make sacrifices and choices. She has a confidence to know God will always provide for her as well. And of course, that foundation of faith was the reality that they were faithful attenders. We always tried to encourage our kids to realize that we don't come to church just because we're the pastor or the pastor's wife or the PKs. We come because we love Jesus. That was the mantra. That was the focus. We do these things because of our love for Jesus. The second thing that they appreciated growing up PKs was that they had an involvement in the ministry of the church. And early on, we tried to help our kids see that this was really an expression of their faith. They didn't do it because of being the PK or a pastor or having this role or that role. They did it because of their love for Jesus. Whether it was the simple things of helping initially to put transparencies out and keep them going for a song, or helping to run the PowerPoint when those came, or working in an office, helping with yard work, doing cleaning around the church, all kinds of ways, they had an expression of their faith in just helping out. We would do those things together as a family. My one daughter also pointed out that that involvement in the ministry gave her a real sense of ownership. And she knew that when she would talk with her dad about things at the church, that her opinion mattered, that dad was listening and cared because she was involved in the work of the ministry. And then third, they realized that their involvement in the ministry of the church helped them to develop their ministry gifts and their talents. We've got musical kids that, whether it was playing the drums, guitar, a bass, or singing and playing piano, whatever it was, they had opportunities to use their ministry gifts and develop them. And I would encourage you to do the same. Let your kids develop their talents, and don't try to force them into a mold, but let their own expression come out. And then finally, the thing that they were really thankful for too, growing up a PK, was that they had friendships with other PKs and their families. One of the inside jokes around our house was that the church was one of those social outlets for our EB homeschool. And yet what we appreciated in our kids is that we saw them interact not only with their peers like other kids at school, but we saw them interact with adults just as comfortably. And that really was reinforced as they would hang out with missionaries or guests at a dinner, and they would get to be known by them. They were involved in PK retreat, family camps, and other network events. I'd encourage you, do that and let them get to know other pastors and their families. And if you know some other pastor's kid, greet them, acknowledge that you know them, because that builds those kids up. They really appreciated those extra opportunities to just get to know other ministers and connect in that way. And we're thankful that our kids have that love for Jesus because of some of those relationships that continue even to this day as they have friends that they grew up with who love Jesus. Well, that's Ministry Matters for this month. Next month, we're going to do part 2 of the priority of family. We're going to look at the flip side. What were the challenges and what were the difficulties growing up in the parsonage and as a PK? Well, ministry matters, and the stuff of ministry is of eternal significance. We'll see you again next month. God bless.